It was released way back in the ancient, long time ago of 2015. But is the GoPro Hero 4 Black worth it in 2018? Let's find out. What's up everyone, I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. So this is actually a pretty special video for me to make. If you saw the unboxing video I released on Saturday, you'll know that the GoPro Hero 4 Black is actually a dream camera of mine. Before YouTube and checking out cameras on a regular basis, I used to dream about having the Hero 4 Black. I mean, my wife even bought it for me 1 year for my birthday, but we couldn't afford it, and so I had to return it, and she was mad. But I am so excited to make this series of videos because it's like closing the loop on something I have always wanted to do. Even though now I have, too darn many action cameras in my house, this is still the one that's like the one that got away. And before we get too far into the video, I'd like to thank my friends over at B&H Photo for sending this to me to check out. If you'd like to get your very own Hero 4 Black, because in all honesty, it is still a great camera, with a best-in-class feature to this day that we'll talk about here a little later, there will be links in the description below. But enough of that, let's get to the main attraction, the GoPro Hero 4 Black. And you know what? It is still a phenomenal camera even today. We've already done the unboxing, so let's cover the basic specs to get us all on, we gotta put it down, to get us all on the same page. The GoPro Hero 4 Black was one of the original 4K action cameras when it was released. It can record in up to 4K 30 frames per second, 2.7K at 60 frames per second, and 1080p up to 120 frames per second. Doesn't sound like a lot now, but in 2015, this was earth-shattering. It comes equipped with an 1160 milliamp hour battery, capable of up to roughly 1 hour of recording. It can also take up to 12 megapixel stills, and comes equipped with Wi-Fi enabled technology to pair with your cell phone for an easier workflow. More on this later. And by later, I mean now. Now, I don't normally cover action camera apps because I rarely use them. The current trend of touchscreen enabled cameras means today it's easy enough to set up the camera on the fly, but back in 2015, very few cameras had a touchscreen. The Hero 4 Silver had a built-in touchscreen, and the Hero 4 Black has an add-on that would enable a touchscreen. If you know of any others, leave a comment below because I would love to check out another 2015 touchscreen action camera. So to combat this, you could, and still can, pair the camera to your phone and utilize the app to be the touchscreen for the GoPro. And you know what? To my surprise, the Hero 4 Black pairs very easily with my iPhone XR. You have access to all of the settings and resolutions straight from your hand, and when you put it into Wi-Fi mode, the Hero 4 will continue to send out the signal, so it's even quicker to connect and change your settings or frame your shot if you need to. Physically, the GoPro Hero 4 Black is iconic. Seriously, let's pause for a second and just appreciate what this single camera style did for the action camera world. This video isn't sponsored by GoPro, and in fact, I very recently called one of their new cameras garbage. Well, because it's garbage. I say this because this body style, feature set, and the impact on the world is one of the main reasons why we even have as many action cameras today as we do. So GoPro, for all the crap I give you, I do want to say thanks for really kicking off the action camera trend for those of us that like having little durable cameras with us. And this might be like the king of the crowd. Okay, enough of that. I'm not crying, you're crying. Back to the Hero 4. It still feels great. And no, while it's not waterproof without a case or as durable as its successors, it has a very durable feeling body. Not only does the camera feel physically strong, it also has some smart features like a cover for its ports, so when you use this thing in a gimbal, which you basically have to, you don't need to worry so much about stray drops of water or a little piece of mud getting in and damaging the internals. Now we come to the most important part of any video ever made on YouTube. How many of the pillars of action are still holding up the GoPro Hero 4 Black 3 years later? First up, ease of use. And this is awkward. So these pillars are basically going to be the opposite of what GoPro pillars normally are and have been for the past year and a half. They're switched. The GoPro Hero 4 comes from a bygone era where touchscreens were not as easily accessible, and to change settings, you needed to fight your way through cumbersome and confusing menu systems using the physical buttons on the camera itself. And the Hero 4 Black does not escape this. It is a tough and frustrating system to be able to change the settings, and nothing in it happens quickly. The only way to efficiently change your settings quickly is through the app. But if I'm on my motorcycle or mountain bike, I don't always have my phone on me to change the settings, and thus I just have to pick a recording mode and leave it in there. Now, this stinks. But again, the camera's from a different era where this was common, but it still sucks and is not as easy to use as the current trend of GoPros. Next up, durability. Like we already mentioned, this is the last generation of GoPro before the Hero 5 came out and was both waterproof without a case and incredibly durable with things like replaceable lens covers, which is such a great feature. So it's not as durable as the current generation of cameras, but for its day, I have no issues with the build quality or construction of the Hero 4 Black. I like cameras like the Mija 4K and the Yi line of cameras, and this feels better than both of those other brands. One of the benefits of these old-timey GoPros is it did come with a waterproof case. So if you wanted to take it underwater or you were going into some more rugged terrain, you have the option through it in the case. I like having options included in the box. Speaking of which, pillar number 3, compatibility with GoPro style mounts and accessories. The Hero 4 Black is the archetype for most of the current generation of action cameras, and this benefits it by being both compatible with all the accessories meant for cameras shaped like the GoPro, but it also has a few benefits that the newer GoPros don't. Mainly, audio adapters. If you want the audio adapter for the 5, 6, or 7, you need to pay $50 and have this huge brick attached to the camera. Somehow. But the Hero 4, you can simply use a cheaper, simple cable to do the same thing. And as audio is a huge part of video production, this is actually a pretty big deal. Also, if you do want to use some of the newer GoPro accessories with the Hero 4, thankfully, they do have things like the Karma harness, so you can easily put your Hero 4 into the GoPro gimbal and other accessories. So it's still pretty darn compatible. Next up, and actually pretty darn shocking for how old this camera is, image quality. Look, hyperbole aside and script aside, the Hero 4 Black has fantastic image quality. I'm actually pretty darn shocked at how good it is. Before I made any of these videos with the Hero 4, I just assumed it would be okay, but nothing really to write home about. But the image quality on this darn thing is phenomenal. Like, it has legitimately surprised me. I think in some situations it's better than the Hero 7 Black for image quality. Not only is the image quality great, but the audio quality is some of the best I've ever heard on an action camera. I really now understand why so many people continue to use the Hero 4 as their main action camera. While the Hero 7 Black does have good audio quality, and yes, we will do a more comprehensive comparison of the two cameras on Wednesday, the Hero 4's audio is in a league of its own. It's fantastic. And to prove it, let's hop outside real quick and do a standard vlogging test. Okay, and so here we are doing the outdoor audio / vlogging test of the GoPro Hero 4 Black. Now again, like in the initial impressions video, I am cheating a little bit and I have you in a gimbal right now because, like we'll mention here in a second, the Hero 4 Black has no kind of electronic image stabilization, which really sucks, but you know, it came in an age before electronic stabilization was in everything, so I'm not gonna treat it that harshly about it. I mean, the technology wasn't really there at the time, so can you really fault a camera that's 3 years old for technology that wasn't available? I mean, you can, but I'm not going to because I really like this camera. So this is the audio and this is the video you will get out of the Hero 4 Black. This is not enhanced in any way. I'm not gonna edit the audio, I'm not gonna edit the video. It's set to straight auto, 4K 30 frames per second wide, and I think it's darn beautiful looking footage coming out of this camera. I am shocked. I did not expect that a 3-year-old action camera would have the image quality that it has. Now, it's also a little windy out here today, so you'll notice how it will handle the wind, and the audio out of the GoPro Hero 4 Black is one of the most shocking things. Here comes some wind right now. There, you're hearing some wind stuff right there, but the GoPro Hero 4 Black's audio is legitimately the most shocking thing out of these whole series of videos I've been making. I cannot believe how good the audio is, and one of those reasons why is I started off GoPros really with the Hero 5, and so my very first GoPro was the Hero 3 Plus Black, and the Hero 5 are the ones that I started out with. So the audio was okay, but on the Hero 5 it was terrible. So I never really used the Hero 4 Black, but the audio in this thing is so good. That might be the selling point right there by itself, but okay. Running in a gimbal, action. Okay, back to the video. Like I said, it's amazing. But last and pretty sadly disappointed, stabilization. Like the rear LCD screen, this camera existed in a time before stabilization was becoming the new hotness, and every camera in some way, shape, or form is judged on its ability to stabilize its footage. And this isn't just action cameras, by the way. Look how angry everyone is that the EOS R doesn't have stabilization. Stabilization is a big deal. To make it unambiguous, the Hero 4 Black has no stabilization at all. So if you want to make sure your footage isn't shaky, you'll either need to stabilize it in post through your video editor, or you will need to make sure you keep your gimbal with you at all times. I'm using the Phaotech G5 in this video. And on that downer, so what, right? So should you get a Hero 4 Black in 2018? You know what? Maybe. It really depends on what kind of deal you can find though. I think the specs, features, and image quality far surpasses what GoPro's current budget camera. In all fairness, the Hero 7 White does have pretty decent EIS though. But for roughly the same price, you could get a Hero 5 Black for the same cost as the Hero 4 Black. But there are some really great things the Hero 4 Black does better. So do you want amazing audio, great image, and access to a wider range of accessories? Then I would absolutely recommend the Hero 4 Black. I'm way more impressed with it than I thought I would be. 3 years is when technology dinosaurs roamed the earth, and to find a camera still crushing it that much time later is awesome.